A very good evening to all the dignitaries and everyone present. I am Sushen Kapoor.
And I am Riya Prabhu. We, the students of SIS College Sion West, will be the masters of ceremony for today's event. It is both a blessing and an honor for us to be here before you today.
On this day, 3 years ago, the government of India declared a nationwide lockdown on account of COVID-19 pandemic. Incidentally, what began as a 3-week pause on life stretched on for months and for years. Not a single citizen was spared from its effects. Some went through much worse than the others.
When such a massive threat makes itself known, obviously every person's first instinct will be to protect oneself. The sheer fear of the virus was enough to shake the foundations of humanity. Thousands of people scrambled for protection. And yet, there were so many people who kept on working selflessly, regardless of the hazard to their own health. Many who went out of their way to help those in dire need.
ये तो हकीकत है कि जीवन मिलना भाग्य की बात होती है, मगर लोगों के दिलों में जीवित रहना कर्म की बात है। इसी उम्मीद पर ही तो दुनिया कायम है और इसी उम्मीद को दिलों में लिए एक अटूट जज्बे के साथ यह लोग अकेले ही चल पड़े। लोग जुड़ते गए, कारवां बनता गया।
Most of us thought of our own families and of our own lives, but a few Mumbaikars thought otherwise. These are the unsung heroes of our city, the bones that form the spine of resilience. These are the ones who went the extra mile.
William Faulkner, an American writer, once said, "I believe man will not merely endure, he will prevail. He is immortal, not because he alone among creatures has an inexhaustible voice, but because he has a soul, a spirit capable of compassion, sacrifice, and endurance."
It is only in retrospect that one can connect the dots. Although the pandemic, in one way, took us apart,
and forced us to distance ourselves from each other,
it was also the same thread that brought us all together.
yes, it took time for all of us to understand and accept the new phrases in our collective vocabulary, such as no mask, no entry, do gaz ki duri,
Hotspots, herd immunity, quarantine.
and realize the changes in the new normal, unrest, instability, and change.
Hey, Sushen, do you remember? Back then, it used to be homework, and now it's work from home.
Absolutely. How can we forget the paradigm shift for our students from the real to the virtual classroom? The very idea of university as a physical structure which had followed such a strict, fixed pattern was completely disrupted.
And we were the lucky ones because we had the privilege of technology and resources. However, what did lockdown mean for the common man, for whom social distance turned into a social disconnect? It was in these difficult times that today's awardees turned adversity into opportunity and showed us the way forward. When one reflects on the unforgettable aspects of this past ordeal, we may as well say that the coronavirus was a turning point in the history of mankind.
Although the future remains uncertain, we have chosen this evening for the Spirit of Mumbai Awards as an opportunity to offer our respect and gratitude to those who came forward, went beyond the call of duty, and most importantly, offered hope for a better future.
We are here not just to celebrate, but to honor these warriors. They opened the frontiers of their hearts while we surrendered to the lockdown. We felicitate them today to draw inspiration from them and carry their mission forward.
We take pride in the fact that these champions are present among us today, the true representatives of the spirit of Mumbai. Although the awards are symbolic, what is significant is that they are filled with our love and affection.
Ladies and gentlemen, kindly be seated till the Honorable Governor arrives. For anyone, whether in the audience or whether just the two of us as students, to forget certain catchphrases. They are just inside our brains now for life. You know some of them?
Of course.
Oh my goodness, how many times have we peeked into the bedroom to see our fathers saying, "Am I audible? Can you see my screen?" Ah, what do you think?
Quarantine all the time. I think we were all staying home and just willing to go out for a bit. Never been the case in the past.
It's never been that way. What was most jarring was to see Mumbai, the city that never sleeps, to be so still. No trains, no buses, no pom-pom of the bus or the traffic, no sounds of the metro, no sounds of any vehicles, not even a single person on the streets.
Oh, there was. The animals, they
Just
had the
them.
streets to themselves.
No one cared for them either. It wasn't that good a time. We were lucky.
Yes,
We were lucky
indeed
to
were
have
lucky.
homes. The laborers who worked here for us, for Mumbai, a lot of people who were homeless, and many of those who succumbed to the virus. Let us take a moment to honor them in silence, a moment to pay our respects to those heroes who could not be with us here today. I think if it were possible, we would have many, many more awardees on this stage today.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think we can actually measure the number of people who took efforts, went out of their way to come forward and do what was required in such times.
The call of duty is tough. But
Really
it's
is.
everyone, it's everyone. I don't think anybody did not come forward, you know? The grocery shop was closed, we went to our neighbors for sugar.
They never denied.
They never denied. Mumbai as a community, our societies, our neighbors, our friends, all those games that we played Ludo, we played Uno, there were just some things that we had to be grateful for. And I'm sure a lot of us did not have fun. It was not a good time. But I am glad that all of you are here today. All of you are present here today. You have come with your friends, you've invited other people, so that we can honor at least some of these heroes. I'm sure that there is a hero in every one of your hearts. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
श्री षणमुखानंद चैरिटेबल कम्युनिटी हेल्थ केयर सेंटर में आपका स्वागत है। श्री षणमुखानंद ललित कला और संगीत सभा मुंबई की एक पहल सायन मुंबई में स्थापित एक 44 बिस्तरों वाला अत्याधुनिक डायलिसिस सेंटर पश्चिम भारत में सबसे बड़े डायलिसिस सुविधाओं में से एक है, जहां लगभग सभी रोगियों का मामूली शुल्क या मुफ्त इलाज किया जाता है। इस नए डायलिसिस सेंटर में 2 विशिष्ट समर्पित केंद्रीय वातानुकूलित कक्ष शामिल हैं। केंद्र अत्याधुनिक डायलिसिस मशीन और सभी आवश्यक क्रिटिकल केयर उपकरणों से सुसज्जित है। ऑनलाइन आरओ प्लांट और स्वचालित डायलाइजर धोने की सुविधा से रोगों के संक्रमण को काफी हद तक कम करने में मदद मिलती है। यूपीएस बैकअप पूरी सुविधा के लिए निर्बाध उपचार सुनिश्चित करता है। रोगियों की सुरक्षा के लिए पूरे परिसर में सुरक्षा कैमरे लगाए गए हैं। केंद्र सोमवार से शनिवार सुबह 7 बजे से रात 9 बजे तक 3 पारियों में संचालित होता है। उपचार के दौरान रोगियों को आराम देने के लिए सभी रोगियों को नाश्ते और दोपहर के भोजन के समय जलपान परोसा जाता है। केंद्र का प्रबंधन अनुभवी नेफ्रोलॉजिस्ट, चिकित्सा अधिकारियों और प्रमाणित टेक्नीशियन की टीम द्वारा किया जाता है। किसी भी आपात स्थिति से निपटने के लिए पड़ोस के सुपर स्पेशलिटी हॉस्पिटल के साथ एक समझौता करार किया गया है। केंद्र निर्बाध सेवाओं को सुनिश्चित करने के लिए सार्वजनिक अवकाशों पर भी यह केंद्र कार्यान्वित रहता है। रोगी पंजीकरण प्रक्रिया बहुत सरल है। नेफ्रोलॉजिस्ट द्वारा जांच के लिए रोगियों को डॉक्टर की सिफारिश और अपनी पुरानी मेडिकल रिपोर्ट ले जानी होती है। जाति, राष्ट्रीयता, धर्म या पंथ के बावजूद सभी जरूरतमंदों का इलाज लगभग मुफ्त में किया जाता है। रोगियों को अपने आर्थिक पृष्ठभूमि का मूल्यांकन करने और रियायती दरों के पात्र बनने के लिए कुछ दस्तावेज जैसे आधार कार्ड, राशन कार्ड, पता प्रमाण, बिजली बिल जमा करने की आवश्यकता होती है। हम सभी पारिवारिक चिकित्सकों और नेफ्रोलॉजिस्ट से अनुरोध करते हैं कि वे कृपया सभी जरूरतमंद रोगियों को केंद्र में रेफर करें जिन्हें डायलिसिस की आवश्यकता है, लेकिन आर्थिक तंगी के कारण इसे वहन नहीं कर सकते। आप कार्यालय समय के दौरान हमारे केंद्र पर जाकर या दिए गए नंबरों पर हमसे संपर्क कर सकते हैं। हमारा नंबर है 022-240-72838 या 240-31660। जरूरतमंदों की सेवा के लिए कृपया आगे आएं और हमारे मिशन में शामिल होकर इसे सफल बनाएं। श्री
श्री षणमुखानंद ललित कला आणि संगीत सभा मुंबई यांचा उपक्रम श्री षणमुखानंद चॅरिटेबल कम्युनिटी हेल्थ केअर सेंटरमध्ये आपले स्वागत आहे। सायन मुंबई येथे उभारण्यात आलेले 44 खाटांचे अत्याधुनिक डायलिसिस केंद्र हे पश्चिम भारतातील सर्वात मोठ्या आधुनिक डायलिसिस सुविधांपैकी एक आहे, जिथे जवळजवळ सर्व रुग्णांवर नाममात्र शुल्क किंवा मोफत उपचार केले जातात। नव्याने सेटअप केलेल्या डायलिसिस सेंटरमध्ये 2 समर्पित मध्यवर्ती वातानुकूलित मजल्यांचा समावेश आहे। हे केंद्र नवीन डायलिसिस मशीन आणि सर्व आवश्यक क्रिटिकल केअर उपकरणांनी सुसज्ज आहे। ऑनलाइन आरओ प्लांट आणि स्वयंचलित डायलायझर वॉशिंग सुविधेमुळे रुग्णांचे संक्रमण लक्षणीयरित्या कमी होण्यास मदत झाली आहे। संपूर्ण डायलिसिस सुविधेसाठी प्रदान केलेला यूपीएस बॅकअप रुग्णाच्या अखंडित उपचाराची खात्री देतो। रुग्णांच्या सुरक्षेसाठी संपूर्ण परिसरात सुरक्षा कॅमेरे बसवले आहेत। हे केंद्र सोमवार ते शनिवार 3 शिफ्टमध्ये सकाळी 7 ते रात्री 9 पर्यंत चालते। उपचारादरम्यान रुग्णांना आराम आणि सहकार्य मिळावे यासाठी सर्व रुग्णांना नाश्ता दिला जातो। हे केंद्र अनुभवी नेफ्रोलॉजिस्ट, वैद्यकीय अधिकारी आणि प्रमाणित तंत्रज्ञाच्या टीमद्वारे चालवले जाते आणि कोणत्याही आपत्कालीन परिस्थितीला हाताळण्यासाठी शेजारच्या सुपर स्पेशालिस्ट हॉस्पिटलशी करार करण्यात आला आहे। रुग्णांना अखंडित सेवा मिळावी यासाठी सार्वजनिक सुट्टीच्या दिवशीही हे केंद्र सुरू ठेवले जाते। रुग्ण नोंदणी प्रक्रिया अतिशय सोपी आहे। डायलिसिस सुरू करण्यासाठी रुग्णाला जुने वैद्यकीय अहवाल आणि डॉक्टरांचे शिफारस पत्र आणावे लागते आणि डायलिसिस केंद्रातील किडनी तज्ञांकडून त्याची तपासणी करून घ्यावी लागते। वंश, राष्ट्रीयता, धर्म, जातपंत असा भेदभाव न करता सर्व गरजूंना डायलिसिस उपचार जवळजवळ मोफत दिले जातात। रुग्णाला त्याच्या आर्थिक पार्श्वभूमीचे मूल्यांकन करण्यासाठी आणि सवलतीचा दर प्राप्त होण्यासाठी आधार कार्ड, रेशन कार्ड, पत्ता पुरावा, वीज बिल यासारखी काही कागदपत्रे सादर करणे आवश्यक आहे। आम्ही सर्व फॅमिली फिजिशियन आणि नेफ्रोलॉजिस्टना आवाहन करतो की ज्यांना डायलिसिसची गरज आहे परंतु आर्थिक अडचणींमुळे ते परवडत नाही अशा सर्व गरजू रुग्णांना या केंद्रात पाठवावे। कार्यालयीन वेळेत आमच्या केंद्राला भेट देऊन किंवा कॉल करून तुम्ही आमच्यापर्यंत पोहोचू शकता। आमचा क्रमांक आहे +91 22 2407 2838 आणि 2403-1660। आम्ही सर्वांना आवाहन करतो की कृपया पुढे या आणि गरजूंची सेवा करण्याच्या आमच्या मिशन मध्ये सामील व्हा। श्री षण्मुखानंद ललित कला आणि संगीत सभा मुंबई यांचा उपक्रम श्री षण्मुखानंद चॅरिटेबल कम्युनिटी हेल्थ केअर सेंटर मध्ये आपले स्वागत आहे। सायन मुंबई येथे उभारण्यात आलेले 44 खाटांचे अत्याधुनिक डायलिसिस केंद्र हे पश्चिम भारतातील सर्वात मोठ्या आधुनिक डायलिसिस सुविधांपैकी एक आहे, जिथे जवळजवळ सर्व रुग्णांवर नाममात्र शुल्क किंवा मोफत उपचार केले जातात। नव्याने सेटअप केलेल्या डायलिसिस सेंटरमध्ये 2 समर्पित मध्यवर्ती वातानुकूलित मजल्यांचा समावेश आहे। हे केंद्र नवीन डायलिसिस मशीन आणि सर्व आवश्यक क्रिटिकल केअर उपकरणांनी सुसज्ज आहे। ऑनलाईन आरो प्लांट आणि स्वयंचलित डायलायझर वॉशिंग सुविधेमुळे रुग्णांचे संक्रमण लक्षणीयरित्या कमी होण्यास मदत झाली आहे। संपूर्ण डायलिसिस सुविधेसाठी प्रदान केलेला UPS बॅकअप रुग्णाच्या अखंडित उपचाराची खात्री देतो। रुग्णांच्या सुरक्षेसाठी संपूर्ण परिसरात सुरक्षा कॅमेरे बसवले आहेत। हे केंद्र सोमवार ते शनिवार 3 शिफ्टमध्ये सकाळी 7 ते रात्री 9 पर्यंत चालते। उपचारादरम्यान रुग्णांना आराम आणि सहकार्य मिळावे यासाठी सर्व रुग्णांना नाश्ता दिला जातो। हे केंद्र अनुभवी नेफ्रोलॉजिस्ट, वैद्यकीय अधिकारी आणि प्रमाणित तंत्रज्ञाच्या टीमद्वारे चालवले जाते आणि कोणत्याही आपत्कालीन परिस्थितीला हाताळण्यासाठी शेजारच्या सुपर स्पेशालिस्ट हॉस्पिटलशी करार करण्यात आला आहे। रुग्णांना अखंडित सेवा मिळावी यासाठी सार्वजनिक सुट्टीच्या दिवशीही हे केंद्र सुरू ठेवले जाते। रुग्ण नोंदणी प्रक्रिया अतिशय सोपी आहे। डायलिसिस सुरू करण्यासाठी रुग्णाला जुने वैद्यकीय अहवाल आणि डॉक्टरांचे शिफारस पत्र आणावे लागते आणि डायलिसिस केंद्रातील किडनी तज्ज्ञांकडून त्याची तपासणी करून घ्यावी लागते। वंश, राष्ट्रीयता, धर्म, जातपंत असा भेदभाव न करता सर्व गरजूंना डायलिसिस उपचार जवळजवळ मोफत दिले जातात। रुग्णाला त्याच्या आर्थिक पार्श्वभूमीचे मूल्यांकन करण्यासाठी आणि सवलतीचा दर प्राप्त होण्यासाठी आधार कार्ड, रेशन कार्ड, पत्ता पुरावा, वीज बिल यासारखी काही कागदपत्रे सादर करणे आवश्यक आहे। आम्ही सर्व फॅमिली फिजिशियन आणि नेफ्रोलॉजिस्टना आवाहन करतो की ज्यांना डायलिसिसची गरज आहे परंतु आर्थिक अडचणींमुळे ते परवडत नाही अशा सर्व गरजू रुग्णांना या केंद्रात पाठवावे। कार्यालयीन वेळेत आमच्या केंद्राला भेट देऊन किंवा कॉल करून तुम्ही आमच्यापर्यंत पोहोचू शकता। आमचा क्रमांक आहे +91 22 2407 2838 आणि 2403-1660। आम्ही सर्वांना आवाहन करतो की कृपया पुढे या आणि गरजूंची सेवा करण्याच्या आमच्या मिशन मध्ये सामील व्हा। श्री षण्मुखानंद ललित कला आणि संगीत
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Governor of Maharashtra has arrived at the premises. He will be on stage shortly and the event will begin. Kindly bear with us till then. receive our dignitary for the evening, the Honorable Governor of Maharashtra, Shri Ramesh Baisji, who will preside over the function.
We at SIS also welcome our awardees for the evening. We deeply appreciate your time and presence. Let us rise for the national anthem, which will be immediately followed by the state anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंग विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंग तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
जय जय महाराष्ट्र माझा गरजा महाराष्ट्र माझा जय जय महाराष्ट्र माझा गरजा महाराष्ट्र माझा
भीतीन आम्हा तुझी मुळी ही गडगडणाऱ्या नभा अस्मानाच्या सुलतानीला जवाब देती जिभा सह्याद्रीचा सिंह गरजतो सह्याद्रीचा सिंह गरजतो शिवशंभू राजा दरी दरीतून नाद गुंजला महाराष्ट्र माझा जय जय महाराष्ट्र माझा गरजा महाराष्ट्र माझा काळ्या छातीवरी कोरली अभिमानाची लेणी पोलादी मनगटे खेळती खेळ जीव घेणी दारिद्र्याच्या उन्हात शिजला निढळाच्या घामाने भिजला
देश गौरवासाठी झिजला
देश गौरवासाठी झिजला दिल्लीचेही तख्त राखितो महाराष्ट्र माझा जय जय महाराष्ट्र माझा गरजा महाराष्ट्र माझा गरजा महाराष्ट्र माझा गरजा महाराष्ट्र माझा
The national anthem and the state anthem was rendered by Dr. Sneha Jadhav and Mr. Anup Varghese, faculty of SIS College, Sion West. May we call upon the students of SIS Ved Pathshala for the Vedic invocation.
पतिगुं भवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पदानश्रवन्नोतिभिर्सीदसादनम् श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वादेवती धीनामवित्र्यवतो श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विजये सर्वलोकानां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ सहस्राणि सहस्रशो ये रुद्राधिभूम्याम् तेषागुं सहस्रयोजने वदन्नानि तन्मसि अस्मिन् महत्यर्णवे दर्शेवादि नीलग्रीवाश्रिगण्डाः सर्वादः क्षमताः नीलग्रीवाश्रिगण्डायं रुद्रावश्रिताः ये वृक्षेषु सस्मिन्नरनीलग्रीवाविलोहिताः ये भूतानामधिपतयो विशिखाचक्रवर्तिनः ये अन्येषु विविध्यन्तातेषु भवतो जनान् ये पथाम्पतिरक्षलयलभृदाय व्युधाः ये तीर्थानि प्रचरन्ति सुगावन्द्रोजिषकिणः य एतावन्तश्च भूयामुतश्च तुषो रुद्राविदस्ये तेषागुं सहस्रयोजने वदन्नानि तन्मसि नमो रुद्रेभ्यो ये पृथिव्यां ये अन्तरिक्षे दिव्ये चामन्नं वातो वर्षमिषभस्तेभ्यो दश प्राचीर्दश दक्षिणा दश प्रतीचीर्दशोदीचीर्दशोर्ध्वास्तेभ्यो नमस्ते नो मृळयन्तु ते यन्तु विष्णो यश्च नो द्वे स्थितं भोजमे दधामि हरिः ॐ
Now, I would like to invite the students of SIS High School to recite the Sarvadharma prayer.
बुद्धं नमामि धम्मं नमामि संघं नमामि एक ओंकार सतनाम करता पुरख निरवैर निरवैर अकाल मूरत अजूनी सैभं गुर प्रसाद जप आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच। ओम नमो हरिहंतानम ओम नमो श्री सिद्धानम ओम नमो आयरियानम ओम नमो उपजायानम नमो लुए सब साहुनम एसो पंचनमोकारो सौवा पवपनुसनो मंगलानं चेसोवेसं पदममहवै मंगलम्। ओम नमो हरिहंतानम ओम नमो श्री सिद्धानम मौलाय सल्लि वसल्लिम दाइमन अबदन अला हबीबिका खैरिल खल्की कुल्लिमी मुहम्मदुन सय्यदुल कौलैनि वस्तकलैनि वल फरीऐनि मिन उर्बिन व मिन नजमी मौलाय सल्लि वसल्लिम दाइमन अबदन अला हबीबिका खैरिल खल्की कुल्लिमी। Spirit leads me where my trust is without border. Let me walk upon the water wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith would be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. And I will call upon your name and keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours and you are mine.
Now, I invite Dr. V. Shankar to deliver the keynote address. Sorry. Now, we would like to request Dr. V. Shankar, President of South Indian Education Society and President of Sri Shanmukhananda Fine Arts and Sangeet Sabha, to felicitate the Honorable Governor of Maharashtra, Sri Ramesh Bayasji.
Now I invite Dr. V. Shankar to deliver the keynote address.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this solemn function organized this evening in observance of the 3rd anniversary of Corona pandemic. It was exactly on this day 3 years ago, the Union government promulgated a nationwide lockdown as part of its overall health strategy to contain the transmission of the virus. At the outbreak of the pandemic, the first public reaction was one of fear and panic, scurrying to shores of safety and confining themselves safe and secure in their homes so that they are not infected by the virus. But a few Mumbaikars, like several others across the country and even beyond this country, thought otherwise. The humanity in them came to full fore. They swung into action and plunged right into the center of the health disaster to alleviate the sufferings of those who were affected by the pandemic, to transport to the nearest hospital all those who were infected by the virus for immediate medical attention, to the poor and the needy, whose only source and solace support system from the economy had drained up momentarily, to provide them basic minimum necessities of life, to the migrant labor, generally from the unorganized sector, left high and dry on the highway of life, with heightened anxiety to reach their near and dear ones in their hometown, to transport them by safe and secure routes quickly to their homeland to be with their families, and above all, to provide a dignified departure to the demise. These foot soldiers, these stars of our generation, came from all walks of life. The common cord that connected all of them was their desire to mitigate the hardships and the distress of all those affected by this pandemic. This virus, less than 1/10 the size of a bacteria, brought about the greatest healthcare disaster that the world had ever seen in our living times, and even a few centuries before. It infected the entire world. It devoured over 6 million lives and infected over 500 million people across the 7 continents in this world. It put paid to all human efforts during the period of the pandemic. Small wonder, every spectre of human activity suffered a setback. Global economies shrunk during this period, and the ugly head of poverty raised its head across the peninsula of habitation across this country. It irretrievably altered the way we think, the way we communicate, the way we socialize. At a time when we are meeting here today, it augurs well that the pandemic is on the wane and the virulence of the virus has also subsided, thanks to the collaborative effort of the central government and the state governments, and by and large, the enthusiastic participation of the people of the country. But there is need for heightened vigil and alacrity, as across the borders, the virus is still active and is threatening to sneak into our lands with various mutations and variants of the same virus. There is an outpouring of emotion and gratitude when it comes to those Mumbaikars who stood by the city in those darkest months at the peak of the virus. Most of them were unseen, unsung heroes and heroines, less visible, never known before. They were never in the limelight, but they soon emerged as the eternal light in our lives. It is the human spirit in them that we are worshipping today. That spirit that gives us courage, strength, and above all, compassion during periods of adversity. Human memory is fickle and at times even treacherous. The greatest lesson from history that we ever learn, said Aldous Huxley, is that we do not learn from history. Sooner or later, these noble acts will go out of the radar of visibility of the eye, far away from the iris of the lens, slip into the pages of history and into the archives of the country, never to be read again. It's time to honor and felicitate these heroes, not so much for them, but for the residual citizenry to draw inspiration from their achievements and their contribution, change course in their life from self-centered pursuits to service above self. Any excuse for celebration is fine. Celebrations essentially are of two types, of thanksgiving to the divine and of keeping the past behind, knowing full well that this life is eternal. Life, my dear friends, is like a Christmas tree, evergreen, fresh. No amount of snow or storm can weather its petal. So too is the human spirit. Despite the clouds of adversity through which it passes in a life sojourn of a person, it always emerges triumphant. By its very nature, human spirit is celebration. But not all partying in life is celebration. But if a purpose is attached, then that celebration becomes sacrosanct, and then the body, the mind and the soul are in sync and in the same pitch. We are experiencing such a feel this evening. So therefore, to begin with, of course, is thanksgiving to the good Lord for having given us this blessed evening. The Isa Upanishad says, Isavasyam idam sarvam yat kanchane jagatyam jagat. Whatever happens, wherever happens, is permeated by the same divine force. It is that divine force which has given us this evening, where all the positive forces, call them by any name in any faith, they have converged together and descended onto this Sabhagraha in honor of humanity. भगवान कहाँ स्थित है? नवदूर गगन पे या वैकुंठ के निवासी है? ना हम वासामि वैकुंठे योगिनाम हृदयेन च मद्भक्ता यत्र गायन्ति तिष्ठामि तत्र हो नारदा said the Lord. वो तो सर्वव्यापी है, वो हम पर विराजमान है, हमारे गुणों पे समावेश है, वो खेत पे रहेगा, कलियां पे रहेगा, भगवान जो है बंदे इंसान पे रहेगा। इंसानियत ही भगवत की एकमेव लक्षण है। आज इस सभागृह पे भव्य शाम मानवता का पूजन हो रहा है और इंसानियत की एक विशेष आराधना हम कर रहे हैं। आओ हम सब मिलकर इस पे शामिल हो जाए। In as much as heroes and heroines, less known, more known, or little known, emerged across the world in the fight against corona, it was India which showed the world the way. India adhered to the Upanishadic principles of its governance, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. As chairman of G20 during this year, even in the logo that it has adopted for G20, it carries the caption of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The Upanishad says, I am Nijah Parovedi, Gananam Laguchetasam, Udhara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is mine, that is yours, is essentially a thought of the narrow-minded, but to the large-hearted, the entire universe is one family. At the peak of the virus, India launched Vaccine Maitri, by which it distributed 235 million doses of the vaccine, absolutely free of cost, gratis, to 98 low-income emerging economies across the world. At the instance of Mr. Donald Trump, the then President of the United States of America, India supplied with such alacrity and speed never before seen, even in our own history, 50 million doses of hydroxychloroquine, which at that time was mistakenly believed without any medical evidence that it is the first line of defense in upper respiratory tract infections. But what was required was the speed that was shown by the country in responding to the need of another state. India vaccinated 225 crore, I think the meter is still going on, of the adult population of this country, overall increasing the immunity levels and thereby effectively containing the virus, which no other country could manage it so easily. But to top it all, India brought back 1.83 crore Indians stranded across world capitals, across major nations of the world, in 213,000 flights, a record of a sort never before seen in the history of aviation, not only earning the gratitude of the people who of course came to their motherland or their families, or still better the nation, but even the world watched with admiration and awe as to how India took care of its citizens at that critical hour. The Subhashita says that there are 4 types of people in this universe. Ete satpurushaha pararthakatakaha samanyasu udyamabhutaha te api manusha rakshasaha parahitam swartyam nindandiye. And Raja Bhartahari then concludes by saying, te kena janimahe. People who do good to others, even at the cost of their own good, they are the best amongst people. People who do good to themselves as they do good to others, they are also good. People who do good to themselves at the cost of others' good. He says, Manusha Rakshasaha, they were devils, demons amongst people. And last is a category which neither does good to itself, nor does good to others, dog in the measure. And that's why he said, Teke na jani mahe, I don't understand. There is an English verse which also echoes the same thought, a similar thought, that there are 3 types of people in this universe. One who turn up their sleeves at all times, one who turn their nose, and one who never turn up. By any standards of evaluation, these awardees of this evening, the shining stars, the Utsava Murtis of today, belong to the Prathama Shreni, the first category of human beings that this blessed world has given to us. The Sri Shanmukhananda Fine Arts and Sangeeta Sabha and the South Indian Education Society have always been in the forefront in bringing onto the stage, this Vyasapita, countless number of unseen, unsung heroes and heroines who emerge at every time that the city goes through a turbulence, a devastation of a type that it had not experienced before. Those champions of humanity emerge and they are brought onto this stage to be honored, felicitated, and then given an award more so for others. On the 6th of August 2005, when this city was marooned by the torrential rains that came into the city for 2 days, water levels rose to the extent of 2-storied buildings. There were amazing tales of sacrifice, indomitable spirit and courage of ordinary people who, themselves aware of the fact that they will get drowned if they were to get into the waters, went about saving several lives. They were all honored and conferred the Spirit of Mumbai Awards from this very platform. On the 11th of July 2006, when the serial bomb blast ripped through the lifeline of the city, the suburban railway system, killing instantly 189 people and critically injuring more than 700 people, there are again tales, extraordinary tales of ordinary citizens, unmindful of the bombs or anything, went about saving lives. They were honored with the Spirit of Mumbai Awards on the 15th of August 2006. The long coastline of the city, porous as it is, and the momentary failure of the intelligence system brought into the city 10 ordinary youth, misguided, all in the name of jihad, who came in and held the city to ransom between 26th and 29th of November 2008. There was an outpouring of rage at the collapse of the entire governance system. But be that be aside, it was a remarkable story which saw all segments of the society raising to the call and the need of the hour, be it the police constabulary, the armed forces, the elite commandos, be it those doctors and nurses in the government hospitals, the Kama hospital and the other hospitals, be it those employees and guests in the starred hotels, be it the announcer in the VT railway station, or the porters, the chaiwalas, the parcel agents, all of them, without least fear of the terrorist attack of the AK-47 that was staring before them, went about saving lives. At a glittering function on the 5th of December 2008, all these people, 38 of them, were conferred the Spirit of Mumbai Awards at the hands of the then Honorable Governor, Shri S.C. Jamir. It is in continuation of that tradition that we are conferring the Spirit of Mumbai Awards today. I am not overwhelmed by praises or by criticism alike, said Walter Mozart, the greatest musician of our living times. These awardees have only heeded to the call of the conscious. They have humbled us by the spirit of humanity in them. They have conclusively demonstrated what Emperor Hirohito of Japan said at the first hijack in the aviation history, which affected Japan in 1960, that one human life is heavier than the earth. Martin Luther King the Jr. once said, if you do not have a cause to die for, you do not have a purpose either to live for. And all these awardees have lived, they will continue to live, and shall live for many more years in the hearts and minds of this grateful city and its citizens for the remarkable work that they have done during the pandemic. No one has ever been honored for what he has received. It has been essentially for what he has given. It is one thing to deserve an honor and not have it, and other thing is to have it and not deserve it. Dignity lies not in possessing an honor, but deserving it, said Mark Twain. Honor and shame from no condition arise. Act well your part, therein the honor lies, said Pope John Paul VI. Each one of them have played their part so well on the stage of life that they are worthy of adulation, encomiums, or whatever is being given to them today. In honoring them, we are honoring ourselves. We are conscious and aware of the fact that such acts of nobility, the highest of humanity, cannot be reduced to objects of adulation and honors and titles and accolades. But then the civil society knows no other means to inspire the residual citizenry to draw lessons from the champions of humanity, change course in their own lives, and to be purposeful and achieve the objects of their birth. We are beholden to Mr. Ramesh Bhais, the Honorable Governor of Maharashtra, for his gracious presence this evening in our Sabhagraha. This is the first occasion that the Honorable Governor has come to our Sabhagraha, and more importantly, for our program. I am sure, and we will pray, that there shall be many more occasions during the residual tenure of the Honorable Governor to witness the various programs on this Vyasapita, this stage of happenings. It's a great stage, and I'm sure you will have many more occasions to come to us. Thank you, sir, for your presence this evening. As I come to the end of my address this evening, may we all be blessed to draw a leaf from the life of nobility of all these awardees, incorporate into our lives through passage of time in this eternal quest in our pilgrimage of perfection, a little of the selflessness, sacrifice, and seva of all these people, and then make our lives sublime. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. Let us now proceed to confer the Spirit of Mumbai Awards. We will begin by reading out the citation. At the outbreak of corona pandemic in 2020, the first reaction was to avoid public exposure and confine to one's homes. A few Mumbaikars thought otherwise.
The SIES, South Indian Education Society, and Sri Shanmukhananda Fine Arts and Sangeet Sabha epitomize the spirit of Mumbai. These institutions are part of a living history, a monument to education and cultural synthesis, one singular object that in its multifaceted dimension and secular nature epitomizes the city it stands tall and proud in, and in a larger sense, the nation.
The highly contagious disease COVID-19 caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome. Coronavirus had a catastrophic effect on the world's demographics, resulting in more than 6 million deaths, emerging as the most consequential global health crisis. It ravaged countries worldwide and overwhelmed the healthcare systems. Loss of livelihood due to prolonged shutdown had a crippling effect on the global economy. Several countries are still enduring waves of the viral illness due to the emergence of variants of this virus.
India emerged stronger from the pandemic. An effective intergovernmental plan between the center and the states, and a record vaccination of over 225 crore vaccinations helped halt the lethal impact of the virus. There were several ordinary people who did not succumb to fear and showed tremendous courage. Unmindful of the grave risks to their lives, they went about saving several lives in our city. in the face of the most trying circumstances. It is this human spirit that we salute today, the spirit that makes us brave, that makes us strong and compassionate in times of difficulty. We remember these warriors with reverence and regard on this day, exactly 3 years after the pandemic broke out.
The South Indian Education Society and the Sri Shanmukhananda Fine Arts and Sangeet Sabha is pleased to confer the Spirit of Mumbai Awards on 25th March 2023. This award, though symbolic, is a genuine manifestation of the high esteem, love, and regard for this section of the society who always lives for others.
The first awardee of the evening is Shri Iqbal Singh Chahalji from the Indian Administrative Service, 1989 batch. A unique decentralized model of fighting the COVID pandemic was created in Mumbai in June 2020 by setting up 24 ward war rooms fully equipped with more than 1,100 doctors, medical teams, user platform-based ambulances, supporting staff, and online dashboards. Tasked with contacting COVID-positive patients, deploying ambulances, allocating them hospital beds, ferrying patients to isolation centers, and providing psychological counseling for asymptomatic patients. Mumbai's COVID fighting model proved to be unique in the world. Positive test reports were not directly shared by the testing labs with the patients, but routed through real-time integrated online dashboard of 186 hospitals. They were made accessible by all ward war rooms, establishment of 10 jumbo field hospitals with more than 15,000 beds, including 1,100 ICU dialysis beds and 60% oxygenated beds, setting up of liquid medical oxygen plants at various locations with a cumulative capacity of 177 metric tons per day, IT-enabled portals for dialysis patients, crematoriums, etc., led to one of the lowest mortality rates for Mumbai as compared to any other city in the world. Shri Iqbal Singh Chahal ji, the Municipal Commissioner, along with his team, we would like to invite you on stage to receive your award.
Shri Iqbal Singh Chahalji, the Municipal Commissioner, along with his team, not only chased the virus, but nailed it effectively. Mumbai model of COVID-19 pandemic was appreciated by WHO, Government of India, Honorable Supreme Court of India, Honorable High Court of Bombay, the World Bank, various international institutions, bringing pride to the financial capital of India.
Shri Iqbal Singh Chahalji will now give his response.
Honorable Shri Ramesh Bhai Sir, His Excellency, the Governor of Maharashtra State, respected Shri V. Shankar, respected Dr. Rangaraj, respected Dr. Chitambram, former Chairman, Atomic Energy Commission of India, respected Shri Ram Narayan Ji, and distinguished audience. At the outset, I would like to thank South Indian Education Society for bestowing upon us Spirit of Mumbai Award. I really, truly feel humbled by this gesture on part of SIS. And I shall always remain indebted to SIS for this kindness which they showed to us. Today is exactly 3 years. I remember on 24th of March at midnight, that is 25th morning, the Honorable Prime Minister of India suddenly came on television at 8 o'clock in the evening and announced 3 weeks of total lockdown in the country, which was unprecedented even in the country, which our generations ever had not witnessed before. And later on, this became a 5-week, it was extended by 2 weeks after that. And I remember on 8th of May 2020, almost 1.5 months after that, suddenly I was put as a Municipal Commissioner Mumbai on the 8th of May 2020, because in March I was Principal Secretary Urban Development and Principal Secretary Water Resources that time. And when I took over at 7 p.m. in the evening on 8th of May, Corona had spread like wildfire in Mumbai slums. And that evening, from 7 p.m. to almost midnight, I chaired a meeting of 120 of my core team. I said, no Zoom meetings, we'll meet physically. And I said, unless we have eyeball-to-eyeball contact, so I won't be able to communicate to you what we have to do. And the first thing I told our core team, I said, look, God has chosen us. I said, never anybody in the last 100 years since Spanish flu came in 1918, 1920, and maybe next 100 years, nobody will ever get this opportunity to serve mankind and humanity. And we are the blessed ones, we are selected by Almighty God that we are getting this opportunity to serve humanity. And suddenly, it just came out of my heart. I said, there is a lot of talk going on since March. And everybody is saying that you should stick to your homes, you should be very careful. In one of the cabinet meetings, all the cabinet ministers were advised, which I attended as the Principal Secretary Urban Development, that most of the honorable ministers are around 60 years of age. They should be extra careful. They should not now come in the public at all. Just imagine, government cannot function if the entire cabinet stays indoors. So the first thing I told, I didn't had planned or conceived, or I had not had thought of it. I said, let us chase this virus. I said, rather than this virus chasing us, we are going to chase this virus. And I told my team, I said, there's no compulsion. People who are comorbid, who think their body immunity is low, who have some issues, I give you 24 hours time to opt out. Whether you're ward officer or deputy commissioner or doctor or our frontline workers. But I said, once you opt in, then the only choice you will have that you have to be on the roads in the slums every day. And I'm happy to say that our team did a wonderful job. And I always say that I shall fail in my duty if I don't salute my team BMC. You know, in Mumbai, in the 4 waves of COVID, 1.1 million people became COVID positive. and almost 16,000 lost their lives. But in this great fight against COVID, it was like a war going on. We lost more than 350 of our own colleagues, including chief engineers, deputy commissioners, senior officers. But the show went on. And this great team BMC, it achieved one of the lowest death rates in corona anywhere in the world for a comparable city. I still remember figures that in the second Delta deadly wave, we had 3.93 lakh COVID positives between 10th of February 2021 and 31st of May 2021, the second wave of COVID, which had wrought havoc, that we call it oxygen wave, that Delta virus wave. Out of this 3.93 lakh COVID positives, we had only 3,181 deaths, which was 0.8%, the lowest anywhere in the world. And for the second most dense city in the world after Tokyo. And for the most dense pocket in the world, Dharavi, where we had 2.34 lakh people per square kilometers. And if you compare this 2.34 lakh per square kilometers, a country like Norway has 20 people per square kilometers. This is a challenge we had, but hats off to the team BMC. And I must say that the people of Mumbai, the citizens of Mumbai, I equally salute them. Coming from Chandigarh, which is my ancestral place, but I've never lived there because my father was an army officer. I was brought up in cantonments. And very young age, I came to Maharashtra. And last 34 years, I'm here. I find the people of Mumbai are an example for the rest of the country. The way they exhibit their social manners, the way social discipline exists in Mumbai doesn't exist in many cities of India. Like one appeal by a municipal commissioner on a television, it would get converted into like an order. So this also helped us to achieve this remarkable low mortality in COVID times. And I'll just finish by 2-3 unique initiatives which we took. Although we took 29 initiatives which were unique for any city in the world, we were perhaps the only city in the world where we had banned the flow of COVID positive test report from the 72 testing labs to any patient directly. And this was a very risky decision because a person who must maybe corona positive in Delta wave, if it doesn't get his COVID positive report, he may pass away because time is very critical. But we had said, even on 14th of April 2021, when 11,100 COVID positives came on a single day, none of them knew who's COVID positive in the town at midnight. And this is only, I don't have a second example in the entire world where such a system existed that the patient shall not get a COVID positive report directly from the lab. We said all these reports shall come on a software single line list at midnight in BMC headquarters, from where early morning they'll reach automatically on 24 ward war rooms in 24 wards of city, where 240 dashboards managed by 1,100 doctors who are all MBBS interns. They would break open that who is positive in the city. And within few minutes, people who needed beds, 240 ambulances would start moving, reach their home and allot them beds at residence of the patient through a real-time, online, integrated dashboard of 186 hospitals of 30,000 beds, where we could allot a bed at a single click. And we had taken away powers of all 186 hospitals to allot their own beds. There was a single point of allotment that ward war rooms only could allot the beds. There was tremendous social equity. Whether you're rich or you're very poor, but the system was same. And we had told the hospitals that if any hospital violates this system, we'll cancel his license. So this discipline, we imposed a military type of discipline in all 29 initiatives. We had crematoriums online on our telephone portals so that there's no clutter or there's no rush at crematoriums. All the cremations would happen in a serial manner. The maximum number of deaths we had on a single day was 97. And Mumbai crematoriums, 72 of them had a capacity of 1,300 cremations a day. I said, why should there should be a crowd? So there was not even a single picture in any social platform which could show in Mumbai bodies heaped, lying in heaps in a particular crematorium waiting for cremation. The online dashboards helped us to have in a serial fashion, where privacy was available to the relatives who were informed, and the cremation could happen. We could give a dignified cremation to the departed soul. Then we had 1,000 ambulances running Uber platform. We had online platforms available on telephone, on your smartphones for dialysis patients. We had 15,000 beds in jumbo hospitals. We had not even a single death where, due to lack of oxygen, somebody passed away. And all this work happened because of tremendous work done by Team BMC, for which I shall always remain indebted to them. And let me finish by giving you one example. The day I joined on 8th of May, the death rate in Mumbai had touched 8%, and we brought it down to 0.8%. And the first thing which happened on 9th of May, I was interviewed by CNN New York. And the lady came to me and she jumped on me. She said, she was on a Zoom call. She said, sir, Mumbai's health infrastructure has collapsed. And the virus has entered the slums of Mumbai, and people are likely to die in thousands. How do you respond? She was in New York. So I said, you give me a couple of days, we'll try our best. And now when I look back, New York state with a population of 1.3 crores had 68,000 deaths. We had only 16,000. And if you correlate our population, then I think we performed almost 1,000% better than them. So this is despite the fact that we had limited resources as compared to those Western countries. But India, in general, and Mumbai in particular, was a showcase to the world that how with limited resources you can be the best. So once again, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your heartfelt response.
Our next awardee is Shri Kiran Dighankar-ji. The World Health Organization cited the Dharavi model to manage the fight against coronavirus to nations across the continents. The 4 T's of Dharavi's pandemic management by Kiran Dighankar was tracing, tracking, testing, and treating. He arranged community kitchens, distributed free food and grocery through the corporation, as well as local representatives and NGOs. He roped in local doctors of Dharavi, and BMC schools, marriage halls, and open parking places were converted into institutional quarantine centers for asymptomatic patients. Corona war did not affect the anti-malarial and dengue drive in Dharavi, as the focus was retained through separate, dedicated staff. All his efforts and effective leadership helped Dharavi keep COVID-19 at bay. Shri Kiran Dighankar-ji, we invite you on stage to receive your award.
Our next awardee is Dr. Anil Patsnekar. Kindly come on stage to receive your award. Dr. Anil Patsnekar, general physician in Dharavi, treats all kinds of illnesses since 1983. He has drawn patients from across the city, and he has been taking care of them as well as their families. He joined the BMC screening effects for corona from day one. He conducted home-to-home screenings along with a team of doctors covering over 25,000 people in 10 days. Dharavi, which had emerged as a hotspot for the virus, could contain the transmission thanks to his round-the-clock service. As a widely respected and enduring general physician, he was able to voluntarily get the support and cooperation of the residents of the area to gain control over the pandemic. Our next awardee is Shri Pascal Saldana. Sir, kindly come on stage. The mandap decorator, Pascal Saldana, has a heart of gold. He sold his wife's jewelry and began supplying oxygen to those in dire need. He used the spare cylinder of his wife, whose both kidneys had failed and is on dialysis for over half a decade, and rushed them in response to calls in distress, unmindful of the emergency needs of his ailing wife, who encouraged him to start this heartening gesture.
Our next awardee is Shri Dattatreya Sawantji. Amid rise in COVID cases in Mumbai, Dattatreya Sawant, a school teacher and a part-time auto rickshaw driver, aware of the unaffordability of poor patients to hire private ambulances, converted his auto rickshaw into a mobile ambulance and reached the COVID patients to the nearby hospital free of cost. He also brought discharged patients to their respective homes. Mumbai's capacity building response to COVID-19 had lessons for the world, thanks to Samaritans like Dattatreya Sawant. Now we would like to invite Shri Dattatreya Sawantji to receive the award.
Our next awardee is the non-governmental organization Khana Chahiye. We request their representatives to kindly come on stage. Khana Chahiye was formed with a mission to cater to the unmet food demand for those in need in Mumbai during the COVID-19 crisis. Over 72 lakh meals and over 71,000 grocery kits were distributed to about 6 lakh migrant workers. Its efforts were supported by the valor, compassion, and time of the volunteers on the field and remotely by many more across the globe.
Our next awardee is Bhajan Samaj, a traditional temple which ministers to spiritual.
Our next awardee is Bhajan Samaj. A traditional temple which ministers to the spiritual needs of the people saw divinity in the hardships of the affected. It started feeding over 3,000 poor people every day. In full glory, during the turbulent corona period, the services of the Samaj endeared itself to the beneficiaries across the divide of religion, caste, community, and it strengthened the belief that temples can exist far beyond the dogmatic religious practices and idol worship. Kindly receive your award.
अब मैं बड़े ही विनम्रता से माननीय राज्यपाल जी श्री रमेश बायस जी को दर्शकों को संबोधित करने के लिए आमंत्रित करता हूं।
आज के कार्यक्रम में मंच पर उपस्थित डॉक्टर वी शंकर, अध्यक्ष श्री षणमुखानंद फाइन आर्ट और संगीत सभा एवं अध्यक्ष साउथ इंडियन एजुकेशन सोसाइटी, डॉक्टर चिदम्बरम पद्म विभूषण, सभा के उपाध्यक्ष डॉक्टर वी रंगराज, श्री M.V. रामनारायण, उपाध्यक्ष साउथ इंडियन एजुकेशन सोसाइटी, मुंबई महानगर पालिका आयुक्त श्री इकबाल सिंह चहल, आज के द स्पिरिट ऑफ मुंबई अवार्ड्स पुरस्कार प्राप्त करने वाले मुंबई के नायक श्री किरण दिघावकर जी, डॉक्टर अनिल पाचनेकर, श्री शाहनवाज शेख, श्री पास्कल सल्डाना, श्री दत्तात्रेय सावंत, आज सम्मानित हो रहे NGO खाना चाहिए और भजन समाज घाटकोपर के पदाधिकारीगण, सभी आमंत्रित बहनों और भाइयों, मुंबई के दो प्रमुख संस्थान श्री षणमुखानंद फाइन आर्ट्स और संगीत सभा तथा साउथ इंडियन एजुकेशन सोसाइटी के तत्वाधान में आयोजित इस शानदार कोरोना वीरों के सम्मान समारोह में आप सबके बीच उपस्थित होना मेरे लिए बहुत खुशी की बात है। सर्वप्रथम आज मैं यहाँ पर सम्मानित सभी कोरोना वीरों का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूँ। आप सब भाग्यशाली हैं कि आपका सम्मान श्री षणमुखानंद सभा के तथा साउथ इंडियन एजुकेशन सोसाइटी जैसे विख्यात संस्थाओं के तत्वाधान में हो रहा है। दोनों संस्थाओं का मुंबई के सामाजिक, सांस्कृतिक तथा शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है। इस आयोजन के लिए मैं दोनों संस्थाओं के अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर V. शंकर जी को धन्यवाद देता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। मुंबई अनेक रूप में एक अद्भुत महानगर है। लोग इसे माया नगरी कहते हैं, पर मैं इसे मानवता की नगरी कहता हूं। यहाँ भारत के हर प्रदेश से, देश के हर कोने से लोग आते हैं, मेहनत करके अपनी रोजी रोटी ईमानदारी से कमाते हैं और फिर एक दिन वो इस शहर के हो जाते हैं। 19वीं सदी के आरंभ में जिस मुंबई महानगर की आबादी मात्र 2-2.5 लाख थी, आज 21वीं सदी में 1.5 करोड़ से भी ऊपर हो चुकी है। परस्पर सहयोग और सहकार से ही यह शहर बना है, बढ़ा है और फला फूला भी है। एक दूसरे को मदद करना मुंबई के DNA में है। लोकल ट्रेन में एक बेंच पर पहले से 3 लोग बैठे हों और चौथा व्यक्ति ट्रेन में चढ़ गया तो लोग अपनी जगह कम करके उसे बैठने को जगह देते हैं। यहाँ लोग ये नहीं देखते कि सामने वाला व्यक्ति किस प्रदेश से आया है, वह कौन सी भाषा बोलता है। यहाँ जात पात तो कोई किसी से पूछता ही नहीं, न ही पूछता है किसी का धर्म। मुझे संत कबीर का दोहा याद आता है, जाति पाति पूछे नहीं कोई, हरि को भजै सो हरि का होई। बस एक दूसरे की मदद करना, एक दूसरे के सुख दुख बांटना, एक दूसरे के त्योहार मनाना, यही इस शहर का कर्म और धर्म रहा है। और इसलिए मुंबई पर चाहे शहर पर आतंकी हमला हो या फिर 26 जुलाई 2005 जैसी भारी बाढ़ हो या और भी कोई हादसा हो, मुंबई कर एक दूसरे के मदद के लिए हमेशा आगे आए हैं और एक दूसरों की सहायता की। खुद भी संभल जाते और दूसरों को भी संभल प्रदान कर देते हैं और इस प्रकार देश के आर्थिक इंजन को भी रुकने नहीं देते। कितना काम करते हैं इस महानगर के लोग, मैं तो सचमुच हैरत में पड़ता हूँ। सुबह से लेकर देर रात तक मुंबई कभी सोती भी है या नहीं, यही है मुंबई का स्पिरिट जो कोरोना काल में भी एक बार लोगों को जगाया। देश के अन्य कई शहरों की अपेक्षा में मुंबई महानगर का एरिया बहुत छोटा है। एरिया की बात करें तो मुंबई से नागपुर, छत्रपति संभाजी नगर, पुणे, ये जिले काफी बड़े हैं, लेकिन यहाँ के लोगों का दिल बहुत बड़ा है। यहाँ लोक संख्या की घनता यानी डेंसिटी ऑफ पॉपुलेशन देश से कई गुना ज़्यादा है। धारावी, कालबा देवी जैसे इलाकों में 1 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर क्षेत्र में 1 लाख लोग रहते हैं। कोरोना महामारी के काल में यही सबसे बड़ी समस्या थी। ऐसे भीड़ भरी धारावाही में श्री किरण दिखावकर जी ने सुंदर काम किया। ऐसे ही विभिन्न जगहों पर डॉक्टर अनिल पाचनेकर जी, शाहनवाज शेख, पास्कल सहनाना और दत्तात्रेय सावंत जी ने अनुपम कार्य किया और वे सभी हमारी प्रशंसा के पात्र हैं। जब हम पिछले 2 वर्षों को याद करते हैं तो हमें स्मरण होता है कि कैसे देश में भय का माहौल बन गया था। रोजी रोटी कमाने वालों के लिए जीवन कितना कठिन बन गया था। सरकार के सामने एक और नागरिकों के जीवन की रक्षा को चुनौती, तो दूसरी तरफ अर्थव्यवस्था की चिंता भी करनी थी। अर्थव्यवस्था को संभालने के साथ ही सरकार ने इस बात का भी ध्यान रखा कि किसी गरीब को भूखा ना रहना पड़े। मैं स्वयं एक किसान का बेटा हूं और मानता हूं कि देश के सबसे बड़े कोरोना वीर हमारे किसान भाई थे। वे खेत में काम नहीं करते तो शायद हमारी थाली में रोज खाना मिल न पाता। ऐसे कठिन समय में मुंबई के दानवीर लोग, यहाँ हजारों की सेवा भावी संस्थाएं, हाउसिंग सोसाइटीज, प्राणी प्रेमी संगठन सामने आए और सभी ने मिलकर मनुष्य मात्र तथा अबोल जीवों के खाने की और इलाज की व्यवस्था की। प्रधानमंत्री गरीब कल्याण योजना के माध्यम से 8 महीनों तक 80 करोड़ लोगों को 5 किलो प्रति माह अतिरिक्त अनाज निःशुल्क सुनिश्चित किया गया। सरकार ने प्रवासी श्रमिकों, कामगारों और अपने घर से दूर रहने वाले लोगों की भी चिंता की। 1 नेशन 1 राशन कार्ड की सुविधा देने के साथ सरकार ने उन्हें निःशुल्क अनाज मुहैया कराया और उनके लिए श्रमिक स्पेशल ट्रेनें चलाई। हमारे शास्त्रों में कहा गया है, कृतम में दक्षिणे हस्ते जीवों में सभ्य अहिंसा, अर्थात हमारे एक हाथ में कर्तव्य होता है तो दूसरे हाथ में सफलता होती है। कोरोना महामारी के समय में जब दुनिया का प्रत्येक व्यक्ति, हर देश इससे प्रभावित हुआ, लेकिन भारत एक नए सामर्थ्य के साथ दुनिया के सामने उभर कर आया। मुझे संतोष है कि हमारी केंद्र सरकार और प्रदेश सरकार के समय पर लिए गए सटीक फैसलों से लाखों देशवासियों का जीवन बचा है। एक गंभीर संकट को हमने अपने सामूहिक प्रयासों से न केवल परास्त किया, अपितु उसे एक इष्टापति में तब्दील कर दिया। इस दौरान भारत ने बहुत ही कम समय में 2200 से अधिक प्रयोगशालाओं का नेटवर्क बनाकर हजारों वेंटिलेटर्स का निर्माण करके पीपीई किट से लेकर टेस्ट किट बनाने तक में आत्मनिर्भरता हासिल करके अपनी वैज्ञानिक क्षमता, अपनी तकनीकी दक्षता और अपने मजबूत स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम का भी परिचय दिया है। हमारे यहाँ कोविशील्ड, कोवैक्सीन जैसी वैक्सीन बने और भी गर्व की बात है कि भारत ने दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा टीकाकरण अभियान चलाया। विश्व के अनेक देशों को भारत ने कोरोना वैक्सीन की लाखों खुराक उपलब्ध कराई है। भारत के इस कार्य की विश्व भर में प्रशंसा हुई। भारतीयों ने व्यक्ति, परिवार और एक राष्ट्र के रूप में बहुत कुछ सीखा और सहा है। हमें हमेशा दूसरों के लिए निस्वार्थ भाव से काम करना चाहिए। एक राष्ट्र सिर्फ मिट्टी, पानी और पत्थर नहीं होता, बल्कि एक राष्ट्र हम लोग के लिए खड़ा होता है। भारत में इसी भावना के साथ कोरोना से लड़ाई लड़ी गई है। इस भावना की मिसाल मुंबई के देश के सामने रखी। आज के दिन हम याद करें उन डॉक्टरों, नर्सों, पैरामेडिकल स्टाफ, एम्बुलेंस चालकों, आशा कार्यकर्ताओं, सफाई कर्मचारियों, पुलिस और अन्य लोगों को भी जो अग्नि पंक्ति में आकर हम महामारी के साथ लड़े, जिन्होंने दूसरों को बचाने के लिए अपनी जान जोखिम में डाली, जिन्होंने अपने व्यक्तिगत स्वार्थ से ऊपर मानवता के प्रति अपने कर्तव्य को तरजीह दी है, उनमें से कुछ अपने घर भी नहीं लौटे, क्योंकि उन्होंने वायरस के खिलाफ लड़ाई में अपनी जान गंवा दी। आज आप सबका अभिनंदन करते समय उन सब अनाम वीरों को याद करता हूं और उनके परिजनों के कल्याण के लिए प्रार्थना करता हूं। मुंबई का स्पिरिट पूरे भारत का स्पिरिट बने और हमारा देश विश्व गुरु बने, इस अपेक्षा के साथ एक बार फिर से द स्पिरिट ऑफ मुंबई पुरस्कार विजेताओं का हार्दिक अभिनंदन करता हूं और डॉक्टर वी शंकर को इस आयोजन के लिए बधाई देता हूं। जय हिंद, जय महाराष्ट्र।
Dhanyavad, Rajapal ji. May we request only the awardees to gather on stage with the dignitaries? Okay. Kindly rise for the national anthem.
Thank you everyone for your time and patience.